G'day YouTube. I thought I'd do a quick species spotlight video today on Nepenthes jacquelineae. This is a really nice little one from Pitcher and Moss. I think it was actually a seed growing plant from him, which is super exciting. I've got a larger one in the fridge that I'll show you as well. This is actually well overdue for a water. I've been a bit busy lately. I haven't kept up with my watering, unfortunately, and I've definitely noticed that jacquelineae, particularly if you do let it go too dry, you'll get the lids will pop prematurely on the pitchers. You can see that's a properly formed one in comparison, or hopefully you can there. So they do tend to like it a lot moister than most nepenthes. Now, I wouldn't keep it sitting in a tray of water. I might put something like that underneath it, which will just hold a little bit of water and let it wick up into the pot after watering. Just get a little bit longer between waterings. As for potting mix, I just had a peek in this. This came potted up. It looks like it's in a mix of cocoa chips, sphagnum, and perlite. I've got my big one in akadama, pumice, and akuma. I actually thinking of switching them both over to a going blank here, a cocoa peat mix with some fine cocoa chips in it as well, and some perlite. I think that will. They do come from really mossy montane forests up in Sumatra there. I'm not liking using sphagnum moss apart from a live top dressing like this. So to try and avoid it, that's my feeling is that's going to come the closest to replicating how they grow in nature. They're absolutely amazing little species though, just these huge, wide lip peristomes. It's just starting to show on this one. The big one I'll show you shortly is actually much more impressive. It's become a beautiful plant. I might actually have to chase down a green form. Both of mine are the red, or the other one's a bit more purple than this, maybe, but they're still beautiful plants. So it's definitely my preferred coloration of them, but the green form looks absolutely spectacular as well. Maybe one day I'll have enough that I can grow them up and breed some of my own, but I have a feeling that's a while off. These are fairly slow growing plants. They take a good few years to put on any real size and mature. Nothing like a lowlii or a raja, anything like that, but just your typical highland species. As for temperatures, growing this in the fridge, it's 25 degrees, drops down to 15 at night. I've got my other one's up the top of the fridge that's in those around the sensor that gives those temperatures. This one lives down the bottom in the ultra highland section. So it's probably a little bit cooler than that, maybe 21 degrees and 10 to 11 degrees at night. This is Celsius, obviously. It's not, if you're doing those temperatures in Fahrenheit, you're going to have some real trouble with nepenthes. But either way, both of them are growing absolutely spectacular. As for lighting, look, I'd probably give them a bit more light than they need. You can tell by the splotchy leaves, mostly on the older ones. There's a little bit of red tanning on the new leaves, but everything else, it's hard to find that middle ground. Unless you're setting up sections for each species, you're never going to be able to make everything perfect. So a little bit of burnt leaves, but for they're good, tough, strong leaves you get with a higher light. If you were to grow things in lower light, I tend to find you get much bigger leaves, but they're a thin, weak leaf. Whereas this, you can feel that's got a lot of structure to it. And I've even seen moving plants from lower light to high light. You can physically watch the change as the newer leaves come out. But back to jacquelineae, not much else I can really say about the care. The highland temperatures, I personally haven't tried growing it in anything else. No, I suppose I did have my other one in my old greenhouse that was definitely more intermediate. And I'll say I never really liked it. It didn't do much over summer. Winter, I'd tend to get a few pictures. It was a bit cooler in there. But yeah, it definitely is a true highland plant. Anyway, it comes quite high up in the mountain. I'll bring you down and have a look at this. So I'll set this down without spilling everything. I did just spill the picture fluid on the floor. Sorry about that. And it is really cool about this. I believe it's due to up in the high mountains. A lot of people, or some people have said that there's not much insect activity up where you find these guys. So in a way to make sure anything that gets into that pitcher stays in that pitcher, they have this super viscous and almost syrup-like. Well, don't want to spill too much. If you look at it, it is just so sticky, and yeah, you get. I've popped mosquitoes. Oh my god, it's sticking to everything. I'm glad I got this towel here. So I have actually dropped mosquitoes in these, and you see once they hit that fluid, they are just stuck. It acts like quicksand to them. They are not going anywhere. So and I think there's a few from that region. Jamban, Inimus, Taliensis also has that similar type fluid. I'll bring you over here so you can see the highland jungle shelf here. This is a really, really nice picture. They tend to bury themselves in the moss here. I think if you had the plant hanging, they look amazing with all the pictures drooping down. And this is very tricky to do one-handed. Oh, at least the old picture came out as well. I can trim that off. So you can see the peristome there is just spectacular. And this is nowhere near a mature plant. The pictures won't get huge, but it will get quite a bit bigger than this, I think. I'll try and sneak that back down onto the moss. And there's another one over here. It's a bit easier to get to. Just that, again, just amazing, huge, flared peristome on it. And you can actually see, well, I don't know if you can see it, but I could see it. There's a little ant crawling around on that. Hopefully, with any luck, he will fall in. I can actually see that. You might not pick it up on camera, but there is a couple of little ants or something have found their way in there. As you can see there, this one also has the blotchy on the leaves, and actually that leave's a bit burnt. I have recently turned this light down a little bit, but yeah, everything's loving it in here. As far as jacquelineae care goes, I think that's really as much as I can tell you there. Keep it nice, and they do love high humidity. I keep them 80-90%, which is higher than a lot of nepenthes. Fairly moist, cool days and cold nights, and good light, and you'll have a very happy plant that you can show off to your friends, which hopefully more and more people do, because this is such a cool little species. I'm really hoping it becomes more available in cultivation. I don't know if you can hear that beeping on the video, but I'm getting a high temperature alarm on my fridge because I've got the door open, and it's 30 degrees at the moment. The door's open as I've been working on stuff. So I'm going to leave you to it and sort this out. But I'll see you next time. Cheers.